Hello there and good morning. It's a Thursday. Welcome to Breakfast Central on News Central. My name is Olisa Chukuma.
My name is Felicity Ezewike. Very glad you could join us this morning for the latest across Africa. Unfortunately, we're starting on a very sad note. The president of Tanzania has unfortunately passed on. President Magufuli, John Magufuli, is one person who is very controversial. We'll be talking a bit more about his legacy and what his stance, the effect his stance on COVID-19 might have done to the legacy he left in Tanzania, among other issues. But first,
that's the sad news this morning, passing of the Tanzanian president, John Magufuli. So if you're just waking up, there you have it. He has not been seen in the last 2 weeks in Tanzania, and there were reports about him being infected with COVID-19 and being ill. Well, yesterday, the vice president came out to make the announcement that he passed away following complications with
wouldn't want to say dancing on the head of the dead yet, but on the flip side of it, although she made the announcement, she will become the first female president, as if they follow through with the constitution. She will become the first female president of that country as a result of his demise. But there's been a period of mourning announced, so there's a likelihood. We don't know if that's going to be done immediately. But let's not be too hasty with the conversation. Do join us and let us know where you're watching from. Use the hashtag NC Breakfast Central. Follow us at News Central TV and head to our website for more. That's www.newscentral.africa. You can also download the News Central TV mobile app. Just head to your Play Store or iOS.
All right, so we'll keep you up to date with a couple of few stories also in the news. Then we'll head to the morning to look at some of the front and back pages of papers across Africa. And today we'll be looking at, yes, indeed, the big story, the death of Tanzania's President John Magufuli, it was announced yesterday after being out of the scene for over 2 weeks. And we'll also take a trip down to the Republic of Congo to bring you updates on the outcome of the presidential elections that started off yesterday. All that and more on the program.
Our first stories from last night. We'll begin from the north of the continent, where the Human Rights Watch has said the demolition of buildings by the Egyptian military in the Sinai Peninsula in the last 8 years could amount to war crimes. Now, in a report, the rights group noted that the army destroyed at least 12,350 buildings, mostly homes in the Al Arish area between late 2013 and 2020. Now, the organization said the demolitions and forced evictions of people are violations of the international human rights law and the laws of war. The rights body said most of the demolitions happened without a formal designation of affected areas, without specific reasons, and without a fair compensation process. It added that Egypt had provided little information other than that the evictions and demolitions were needed for security reasons. There's always that thing about security, a lot of things being done under the guise of security reasons, you know, national security, information that you need to know. So, if we tell you it's going to affect national security, well, we hope that national security is not the reason they are making their citizens impoverished. All right, then let's move over to some news to the north of, in the west of Africa, and it's all about Mali. Now, the Malian Defense Ministry says the death toll from an ambush on an army convoy in the north of the country has risen to 33. Now, the statement from yesterday said 14 soldiers were also injured in the attack that took place on Tuesday afternoon near the town of Tessit in Mali's northern Gao region. Suspected militants, many of whom have been linked to Al-Qaeda and ISWAP, are believed to be responsible for the attack. Meanwhile, the head of the UN mission in Mali, Mohamed Al-Nadif, has expressed his deep condolences to the families of the victims and the government of Mali. Well, he also said the peacekeeping mission will continue to work with the authorities on what additional support it can provide.
The UN peacekeeping mission there says they're evacuating the injured Malian soldiers to their hospital in Gao, and the UN mission continues to work with the authorities on what additional support it can provide. The violence that we're seeing is also due, I think, to the lack of political movement. And I think it is very important that those parties in Mali, and as you know, which is undergoing a transition. We know what happened last year, and we're working with the national partners and international partners to ensure a smooth transition. But it is very important that all political actors and some of the non-political armed actors reconvene and recommit, rather, to the peace agreements and the accords that had been signed, for the sake of the people of Mali. And as you see, the security situation is not going in the right direction.
All right, then. UN mission to Mali, Stefan Dujarric speaking there. Let's move over. Still more stories, this time from the east of the continent, in Kenya, where the High Court has upheld a ban on female genital mutilation in the landmark ruling welcomed by campaigners seeking to eradicate the internationally condemned procedure. Now, the court was ruling on a petition seeking to legalize FGM on the grounds that the ban is unconstitutional and adult women should be allowed to do what they want with their bodies.
The petition was brought in 2017 by female doctor Tatu Kamo, who said that women were being harassed and arrested for undergoing FGM. Kenya criminalized FGM in 2011 with a punishment of 3 years imprisonment and a $2,000 fine.
But the practice persists because some communities regard it as necessary for social acceptance and increasing the marriage prospects of their daughters.
It's pretty disheartening that we still have conversations around female genital mutilation in 2021. This campaign has been ongoing. You would think that by now we would have made a huge headway when it comes. I went for a retreat in 2017 on female genital mutilation.
Where?
In Enugu, actually,
Okay.
sponsored by One Life Initiative. But since then, I still see the campaign ongoing, very massive, and I'm wondering, who are we really talking to if people are not listening? Because I wouldn't say it's all gloom and doom. There's been some headway, but I think the pace at which we're going needs to be sped up, so to speak.
All right. Cutting season, they call it sometimes, but really, really shocking. But it goes down to communities and how the campaign can go, because it's still rooted very much in cultural practices, FGM.
Yes.
Still much rooted.
Well, they're making headway. So, I mean, we say congratulations to the ones that have been able to, like this ruling now, it's a good thing for the people. So we now go to morning tea. That's a look at the papers.
All right. Yes. Morning tea. Let me take a sip of my cuppa. No time. Got it. All right.
You need it for the content of what's on the papers.
Where do we start?
Morning.
South? I want to go south.
Yeah, let's start with the Sowetan.
All right. So good morning. Morning tea. Still breakfast central. Let's go to south of the continent with the Sowetan paper. And how about that for our front page splash? It says Wena Windlovu and the heavens cried. All about the the big burial of the royal in the country there, Zulu king.
I was watching a bit of the ceremony, and some ladies very proud to represent their cultural heritage with their attire and their dancing move, and they say they're going to celebrate the passing of someone they describe as a legend.
Just look at that, for a front page, and you have the coffin with the draped leopard, skin there, the men all draped, and also keeping social distancing rules. Maybe not, but at least they wore masks. And it says, a nation puts a revered monarch to rest amid pouring rains as Amazulu King Godwill Zwentini remains where interred in the company of the Amaputo last night. All right, so there you have it, front page of the Sowetan. Nice.
For some reason, that picture reminds me of the movie Things Fall Apart. I don't know why. I don't know why, but it just does. Anyway, let's move on to Daily Monitor.
That's in Uganda, right?
Yes.
So we're going to East Africa. Daily Monitor up next for you. Interesting front page spread they have there.
Retired police officer chases pension for 37 years in vain. That's the picture there. It just breaks your heart, really. I'll take it again. Retired police officer chases pension for 37 years in vain. You might want to go grab a copy of that paper or go online and read the full story. Police to fire 100 corrupt officers. That's another one for you. Disciplinary action. Deputy IGP says the decision is final and police will not reabsorb the affected officers even if they appealed to God. That's been a very tough tough stance.
Tough stance. All right. I wonder how we can make that conversation with relation to Nigerian police and recruitment. All right. Let's move over from East Africa. Let's go to the West, and we're coming down to Nigeria. Yes, West Africa with the Punch this morning to see what they have for us this morning. Always quite busy on the front page of the Punch. I always love to say the mishmash, I call it. But it talks about experts carpet federal government over 568.5 billion naira vote to repair loss-making Port Harcourt refinery. Oh, that really will get some hairs rising this morning.
I think I saw a tweet from, is it OBS the question, asking, did I hear right that this is the amount that has been, allocated? It's not in naira, it's in dollars, $1 billion. Well,
you can see the rider there talks about project wasteful, senseless, government beating dead horse, says economist Nupeng Union commend government seek private sector participation. But also interestingly is one about the front page some situations we had in Kwara State yesterday. Hijab violence. That's the Christian Association of Nigeria. Can fingers Abdul Razak demands FG's intervention.
I don't know how that situation can be resolved really, but the onus lies with the government to make sure that the situation does not escalate. However, they can ensure that happens, have a meeting with relevant parties and come to a decision other than this, less status quo remain.
There's been a follow up on the story because it started from a school and wearing hijabs or not, then it escalated into
there was a court case on it, I think, and there was a ruling on it as well.
A Christian Muslim clash, quite unfortunate.
Anyway.
All right, so let's go to Cameroon, Central Africa this time. We've got a paper making its debut, or more like its return this morning.
The Guardian Post.
The Guardian Post Daily. Let's see what they have this morning in Cameroon. Very busy, it says, but look at that up the top one there. It says, Anglophone crisis. French Foreign Affairs Minister advocates dialogue with separatists. The continuing battle discourse and debates between Francophone and Anglophone and the issues about violence against Anglophone-speaking people in the Central African country.
One would say this is brother helping brother. That's humanitarian assistance. Beer exports magnanimity to Equatorial Guinea.
Magnanimity, I like the way they put that word there.
And then you have this one, 17,000 Cameroonians die of heart-related disease yearly.
Really?
That's pretty sad.
Oh, shocking. Oh my gosh. All right, so there you have it on the front page. Different papers this morning on your morning tea, right here, Breakfast Central with Olisa and Felicity.
Yes, indeed.
We have lots to really cover, especially the latest coming out of Tanzania with the passing of John Magufuli. All that and more when we come back from the break.
Just stay with us.
Yeah.
You're watching News Central Television, reaching you live from Lagos, Nigeria, and this is Breakfast Central. I want to take on our first impact conversation right now. We'll take a look at what's happening in Tanzania. We understand it's all over the news, actually, that the Tanzanian's president, John Magufuli, has passed on at the age of 61. Now, according to a statement by the vice president, Samia Hassan, Magufuli died from heart complications at a hospital in Dar es Salaam.
Well, Magufuli had not been in public. He's not been seen after more than 2 weeks, and rumors emerged circulating about his death. Now, opposition politicians said last week that he had contracted COVID-19, but this has not been also confirmed.
Magufuli was one of Africa's most prominent coronavirus skeptics and called for prayers and herbal-infused steam therapy to counter the virus. The son of a peasant farmer, Magufuli became Tanzania's president in 2015 and was praised for his no-nonsense approach to governance. But this image, according to the analysts, has been tinted by his response to the coronavirus pandemic.
He was elected for a second term in 2020 amid opposition accusations of fraud and intimidation. Now, before he was president, he acquired the nickname as the Bulldozer for driving a program to build roads as Minister for Works, and later was hailed for his anti-corruption stance in the country and his, distinct dislike for, you have to say, anti-corruption and wasting of money in the country. And it's announced 14 days, though, of national mourning with flags will fly at half-mast in the country. Let's give you a bit of context of, perhaps you might say, the life of times of John Magufuli, where he was born, where he grew up. Yes, so born to a farmer back in 1959, the 29th of October. He became a school teacher, actually, and industrial chemist. So quite life, you have to say. Elected MP for the ruling party as far back as 1995. Also served in various ministries until elected president in 2015. Was quite famous for helping cleaning the streets and also office, and just like we talked about, that nickname.
On the flip side, though, there are some policies that people are not quite happy with, and that has to do with the case of teenage girls who get pregnant. Some believe his stance is basically their life is over once they get pregnant. There was a lot of eyebrows raised on that particular issue, and of course they talked about his alleged clampdown on the media. They said the press did not have the kind of freedom that they should. All right, let's bring in our in-house senior researcher, Abdulateef Ahmed, to help us take a look at this man's life and the impact he's had on the people of Tanzania. Abdulateef, thank you very much for joining us on The Breakfast.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Okay, give us a bit of a context. Last night, our plan was to join the hashtag Where is Magufuli, only to wake up to the sad news this morning. The Prime Minister just recently lied and said Magufuli was working hard and that some people were arrested for spreading fake news about his health. Did you foresee this would be a likelihood from his long absence?
Thank you once again. I start by condoling with Tanzanians and East Africans for the loss of President John Magufuli. It's quite unfortunate that he had to leave at this time. However, the circumstances surrounding his death tells us that the moment government is not communicating with the masses, the moment there is a gap that is not filled, information gap that is not filled, the likelihood is for people to fill it up with rumors, half-truths, and assumptions. But because Tanzania, or the posture of President John Magufuli has been that he's been a COVID denier. he's been skeptical about COVID, and testing stopped last year. What it meant was that a lot of persons in Tanzania could have contracted the coronavirus without knowing and probably died from it. And therefore, when news came that the former vice president of Zanzibar died, when news came that the CBN governor, ex-CBN governor died, and a few other top government officials, it became a thing of concern and worry that John Magufuli, who was ill, could also have come down with the virus. However, because of the anti
COVID-19 stance, I guess.
Yeah, the anti-free speech. I mean, because you were not free to communicate in the country as you should expect, a lot of persons were being warned against talking about the health of the president. And so I didn't expect that he was going to pass on. I was hoping that he would survive it and probably become a better person and less doubtful about the patients of COVID-19.
Well, Abdul Latif, the vice president said that the president died from heart complications, but the opposition still maintained that something had to be related with COVID-19 complications, and the chances that he perhaps had died earlier before now. Tell us what you've been following recently with this story.
Okay, so what I did realize is, ordinarily, if not for the stance of the president, who does not oppose opposition, ahead of elections last year in October, he did stop access to internet, some newspapers were banned, and a lot of strictures were put in place against people expressing their views and all of that. Now, what we realize is that because he's been a skeptic, there has been nothing much in terms of testing of persons who might have come down with coronavirus. So if you are not testing, what you will be having at the end of the day is that you'll be having lesser numbers or fewer numbers of persons who have the virus. So Tanzania has probably the least amongst the cases we've had in East Africa. But that does not mean that there are no more persons who have coronavirus.
Well, Latif, we remember last year, John Magufuli, the president, actually declared Tanzania at some point COVID-free, which was it raised eyebrows, controversially. And you look at just like you talk about the past in a couple of weeks, the people we've seen in government, senior government officials who've died of COVID-19, and now you have the president himself dying, even if the official statement talks about something not related to COVID-19. Where does that, throw the country's fight against the virus, and the country overall on the continent?
Yeah, so Tanzania has put most part of East Africa in a dilemma, because what East Africa was looking out for was to have a robust collective plan against the virus. But where you have Tanzania largely denying, largely not cooperating, largely playing down the virus, what it meant was that a lot of Tanzanians could have put East Africans, particularly, in danger because they would move in and out of the country. So at some point, Kenya had to block its borders with Tanzania, fearing that persons with coronavirus from Tanzania could come into the country. So I'm hoping that the president-elect hopefully should be able to take on the needful approach to ensure that there's a robust plan to ensure more testing, to ensure more facilities for persons who may have complications related to coronavirus, and then be able to key into the East African protocol on checking the pandemic as a whole.
About the person that's going to stepping, my question was going to be, what happens now? We know that the mourning period has been announced, but will the vice president be sworn in immediately or after?
Okay, so according to the constitution of Tanzania, what should happen is in 24 hours, the vice president should be sworn in according to Section 37, subsection 5 of the Tanzania Constitution. So we are expecting that the vice president will be sworn in today at most.
Okay. which will make her the first VP, female vice president, to ascend to the role of president. Now, let's talk about, John Magufuli himself. He was known quite controversially as the Bulldozer. And without his legacy, what do you think he'll be remembered now, as president of Tanzania?
Yeah, so essentially, his coming was seen as a reformist happening. He came in with a lot of hope and expectations, and he lived up to that expectation, because in the first few days that he came in, he was able to reset the civil service, ensure there is no needful spending. He cut down budgets, and he ensured again that there was not going to be live broadcast of parliamentary proceedings, which was seen to be gulping a lot of funds for the country. Again, he was able to revive the Tanzanian airline. That was one of his major legacies. And then he earned very well to earn the name the Bulldozer for himself, because he was doing a lot of construction, manufacturing jobs across the country. So a lot of roads, highways were being paved and repaired and fixed, and essentially that ending.
Apparently, he did do some good stuff in Tanzania, but how much of an impact to his legacy do you think his stance on COVID-19 would be?
Okay, so while he did a lot in terms of infrastructural development, civil service, retooling, and a general sense of a direction for the country, his legacies will be impacted largely by his last days. His denying.
I guess that's our cue to wrap it up. Network just took a mind of its own. Abdulateef, thank you very much for joining us on Breakfast Central this morning.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Abdulateef. Lots of information. Everyone's digging into Tanzania. Lots of phone calls being put out this morning in the newsroom since last night, trying to get people, to come out and talk. I guess perhaps there's still, on the one hand, the shock. On the other hand, perhaps the normality of, a hesitancy to come forward, because we know that a couple of weeks ago some people were arrested for
allegedly spreading fake news. Well, but
and for them to see yesterday their vice president come out and tell them that the president has passed away, that is a huge.
Well, the usual thing you hear when somebody dies is that he wasn't a saint. He did his bit for his country. For that, he will be celebrated. At some point, there were comments about, other African leaders emulating his stance on corruption and other, wastes, wasting public funds. But I remember he's gone now.
Spending lots of time with Tanzanians, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, during the lockdown, and all they could talk about was the roads, what he did, how Nigeria can learn from that. Magufuli,
our condolences to the people of Tanzania, and may his soul rest in peace. We'll move on to other conversations now here on Breakfast Central.
Yes, right after this break, we'll be going straight to Congo and let you know what's the latest regarding the presidential elections and who is voting first. Is it me? Is it you? Or is it people in the uniform and jackboots? All that and more when we
return.
Right then, welcome back. Still Breakfast Central on News Central this wonderful Thursday. Yes, indeed, the 17th day of March 2021. Just to let you know, you can catch us right here on social media at News Central TV on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Log on to the website. That's www.newscentral.africa, and also head to our Facebook page and on YouTube and get lots more. Yes, indeed. Right then, let's move over for some sports, shall we? But first, let me ask Felicity. I'm not sure we've gotten the team you support yet since you joined Breakfast Central.
I will tell you afterwards, not right now.
You have not declared?
Not yet.
Problem there.
Maybe I'll go with the news team.
They're having troubles. Let me just advise you.
No, so long as they've won at least once, I'm sure they will win again.
All right. Hopefully, we'll have our very first lady of sports on News Central. I'd love to call her Onyechi Obaro. But let's look at the matches from yesterday. Interesting, images yesterday when it comes to UEFA Champions League. Some African players were busy. We can start with the one that involves Chelsea. Yes, indeed. Hakim Ziyech scored for them alongside, another defender as they got 2-0, a victory against that team, Atletico Madrid. So that Moroccan there getting a goal for Chelsea. Not bad for them under manager Thomas Tuchel, which means they are unbeaten since he joined the club, which means Chelsea have knocked out Atletico Madrid to move to the next round, the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Not bad at all for the West London side. Also, we saw another African when it comes to the Champions League last night for Bayern Munich. He's from Cameroon. His name is Eric Maxime Choupo-Moting. And yes, he scored for Bayern Munich last night. Big goal, you have to say, alongside Robert Lewandowski. 2 goals to 1. They defeated Lazio. So it means that they are through to the next round quarterfinals. They're actually the defending champions. So who can stop them? We'll just have to keep it locked and see. So Chelsea through, Bayern Munich also through alongside the likes of Liverpool. All right, let's welcome back to the morning program, Breakfast Central. I'll also call her the very first lady of sports, Onyechi Obaro. Onye, big results for Chelsea and Bayern Munich, but the Africans were also busy on the night, were they?
Yes, of course. I would say it was a wonderful win for Chelsea yesterday. Looking at the fact that this is the 13th time Thomas Tuchel will be winning. It was a brilliant tactical performance from him. I would say that idea where he had to deploy Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, even Kante was top-notch yesterday. Looking at the fact that their defensive ability, they were really solid. 3 centre-backs playing into Atletico Madrid area, where Kovacic, Kante found some dribbling they could do there to give Chelsea the good win. Ziyech and Havertz, they found space, and that really was a good one coming from Thomas Tuchel, because that is his own tactical plan, and it really worked for them. But the quality of play from his 3-4-2 formation was really brilliant.
All right, yeah, so good win for Chelsea. The Africans were busy, likes of Hakim Ziyech and a goalkeeper from Senegal. Let's come home to the continent of Africa, and look at some of the results we saw yesterday when it comes to the CAF Confederations Cup. Not a good result for Eyimba. Away from home against that side called Orlando Pirates of South Africa. 2-1. Eyimba got the beating.
Yes, they got the beating, I'll say, of your life. Because it was Orlando Pirates, after he lost, Mabasa lost a penalty, was able to make it up and give that last-minute goal. John Magufuli could not do anything with that goal, because the truth is they were able to go ahead of their defensive pack, and that was what really cost them that goal. Well, looking at it, I would say for sure that Eyimba will be looking to either make up for it in their next game, maybe. But this leaves Orlando Pirates top of the table in that CAF Confederation Cup tie, and they've just got 2 games more to go. But Eyimba should be able to go home and go back to the drawing book and then do something exceptional in the next game. All
right, so let me run down some of the results once again before we go in the CAF Confederations Cup. So Eyimba losing 2-1 to Orlando Pirates, and some of the results also, likes of Al Ali also beating ES Etiba by a goal to nothing. That's the team from Libya. But, however, Raja Casablanca going away to Nkana FC at the bottom there. They were unbeaten in over so many matches, the team from Zambia. But Raja Casablanca have have wronged that right, to put it in a better context. But thank you very much, Onyechi. We'll get to see you much later when it comes to sports on In the Game at 10:30 a.m. West African time. See you later.
Thank you so much, Olisa.
All right.
All right, thanks, guys, for the sports information. Yeah. Always lovely to see the energy with which you guys talk about, fixtures and stop putting me on the sports now. I will tell you. Don't worry. I will tell you.
Let her tell us. Declare.
All right, let's go to our next impact conversation. The Republic of Congo has, also known as Congo-Brazzaville, is experimenting with its voting process and doing something that had never been done before there. Now, security forces are voting ahead of a presidential election scheduled for March 21, 2021.
Well, 12,000 soldiers, yes indeed, 12,000 soldiers and police officers have cast their votes ahead of their citizens with the Election Commission, saying the move is an attempt to free up security forces and allow them to focus on securing polling stations. But opposition groups have criticized the move, seeing it in further risk of ballot fraud that will give President Denis Sassou Nguesso a head start in the election.
Ben Trud Mania of the Fed Up movement said that the voters' lists did not distinguish members of the military from the civilians. He fears that military personnel might vote twice, given that their names are on both civilian and military lists. All right, we're hoping to get a guest to join us in this conversation. But before they do come, there's so many questions about, the situation in that country, especially with the election coming up on Sunday. We know this is a first, there is a first step, Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we will continue with the conversation. Do stay with us.
All right. Welcome back. Still Breakfast Central on News, Central to Olisa and Felicity. Yes, we're just having a conversation about the elections. Well, that started, at least for people in uniform.
Yes, Congo-Brazzaville. They're experimenting. We were hoping we would have been able to make a little bit of an analysis of the situation, the novelty of it, though the minister there said that they've done it. I mean, other African countries have done it before. I would have been able to get, a little more perspective on the conversation. But hopefully we'll be able to revisit that conversation when the election does happen on Sunday and see what the outcome is all about. So,
yeah, that's the latest from Congo, not DR Congo.
Congo-Brazzaville, the Republic of Congo. It's always slightly confusing.
Pun not intended.
No, pun not intended at all. But, if you're not careful, you would think you're talking about the Democratic Republic of Congo. This one is...
I'm keen. Who has the Makossa population? Is it DR Congo?
All of them enjoy.
All right, let's move over. Time for my timeline this time on the program. Let's see what we're going to be sharing with you this morning. Yes, that interesting one from social media. And I thought that it was only fair for those of us who live and work in Lagos or Nigeria, who've been to Nigeria and been to Lagos. This is a scene that might amuse or perhaps, just get you thinking about the kind, how things are going here in terms of buses and the stress of living in Lagos. Check this out. Well, there you have it.
I can imagine.
It was a random photo on Twitter. Somebody posted it, and we had like a pan and a tilt. I think I got a better term of people sleeping in the bus.
Because they have to leave pretty early. And Nkese, our makeup artist, was telling me how long she had to stay, extra long on the traffic, in traffic rather, this morning. Let's, we have to survive somewhere or the other. And you have to catch, your body needs to sleep at the end of the day.
Shout out to Lagosians. It's not easy.
Power to you.
We are trying. It's not easy, but we are trying. Right.
All right, let's look at this one that I saw. It's just, for me, it's the cuteness of the photo and the bond that it shows between a grandfather and his granddaughter. I don't know if we can get the audio on that. And then, of course, the comment.
I got it.
I got it.
I got it.
I got it.
See you later, baby.
See you later. You will see them.
You're gonna see him soon, I promise. You don't have to cry, you'll see him soon, okay?
It was just the cuteness of the video for me. And then there was a comment there that got me I don't know. He said, Jennifer says, who heard that she said what she said last? I watched it over. The last part of our conversation is what got me thinking. He said, God, at least give me money to acquire, even if it's an Indian tone. She had a problem understanding what was said. And then she said, just give me Indian accent or something.
Aww. So that's like a bond between grandfather and
daughter.
They talk about, you know, grandparents always spoiling their children.
You need to go to the comment section. If you can find it on social media, you'll have a good laugh as well. The other one I'd like to quickly mention is Rico Suave. He says, if a person who talks too much is called a talkative, what do you call a person who looks too much? That's the question.
Wait. A person who talks too much talkative.
What's the person who looks? You need to see the comments. Some say luku, some say lukative. Some said lukative.
All right. I think that's about it from us today. Enough of Felicity's teasing with We'll see you tomorrow. Once again, it's going to be a Friday, so we'll be right once again bright and early for you. Breakfast Central on News Central. Until then, have yourselves a wonderful Thursday. Bye-bye for now.
And a smile.
Yeah.
It's what it's, right?